What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com. And tonight I am joined by none other than Michael Darcy of KC Sports Report to react to this NFL wildcard matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Los Angeles Chargers. And holy crap, what a freaking game. The Chargers were up 27-0 at one point, folks. 27-0. And Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence said, "This is the Chargers, man. This is the Chargers." Michael, you asked me before I started streaming. I wonder what Doug Peterson said to Trevor Lawrence at halftime. You know what he said? He said, "This is the freaking Chargers. We got this. This is Brandon Staley and social media quarterback Justin Herbert. We got this." And guess what? You know what they went out there and did? They beat the Chargers 31-30, a field goal as time expired. What a freaking game.
All I'm going to say is never a doubt. At no point in this game was I worried. Somehow the Chargers continue to amaze me. Like, the Chargers can make any situation 1,000 times worse. And I'm not going to lie. When I saw that the score was like 27-14, I remember telling my dad, like, yo, we have a ball game here. And then they went down the field and scored. And I was like, well, we really have a ball game here. And then they went down and scored again. And it was like, okay, what is going on? And I thought, surely the Chargers can march down the field and maybe kick a field goal. Oh, wait, Dicker the kicker missed a 40-yard field goal after already making a 50-yarder. That ultimately lost the Chargers in this game. And with time expiring, after the Jaguars got a touchdown, went for two, got the 2-point conversion, Trevor Lawrence just leaped over that pile like it was nothing.
I know.
They got that 2-point conversion, which the ball's on Doug Peterson to go for that. They set up their kicker for like a 36-yard field goal. They win the game. By the way, that field goal could not have been closer to not making it. Like, it was very close.
I know.
I thought he missed it. I'm not gonna lie. I really did.
My heart dropped for a second.
Well, then there was a flag too. It was like, oh no. But
then the Jags players were like running onto the field still smiling, like they knew it was on the Chargers. So I wasn't worried about the flag, but I was worried for a second that he missed it, actually.
Yeah. And speaking of flags, the Jacksonville Jaguars might not have gone for that 2-point conversion that they ultimately ended up converting if Joey Bosa had the temper of a normal adult and didn't get a what was it?
Unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, like that ended up giving the Jacksonville Jaguars the ball at the 1-yard line or something insane like that, and they got the 2-point conversion. Like, if Joey Bosa could act like a full-grown adult, they would have won this game.
I think he knew it was over, and honestly, I'm still not sure that they win even without that Joey Bosa meltdown. But we got to talk about it. Brandon Staley he's out of a job, right? Like, he's got to be.
If I'm the Chargers and I'm the owner of that team, I'm not letting him get on the plane back to Los Angeles. I'm letting him walk to sulk and think about what the hell just happened. And if the Chargers know what's good for them, which, spoiler alert, they don't know what's good for them, they would fire him ASAP and try to go get Sean Payton. Like, that's the only way that you could possibly make this situation somewhat redeemable. But Josh, this is an all-time loss. This is a kind of loss that's like a Falcons 28-3 loss. You don't.
This is worse. I mean, by the numbers, this is worse. This is a worse loss because you were up by more.
And it was the Jacksonville Jaguars. It wasn't Tom Brady. It was Trevor Lawrence, who threw 4 interceptions. Like, don't get me wrong, Trevor Lawrence balled in the second half, but it's still the Jacksonville Jaguars, man. They picked first last year.
Yeah. It speaks to the job that Doug Peterson has done. And I'm going to praise Doug Peterson in a little bit, but right now this is a Chargers bash party. And I want to bring up this comment from Eric. He says, "Why blame Staley for Herbert choking? His defense caused how many turnovers?" And look, I'm not blaming Staley. I'm just saying Staley needs to lose his job. And I think it's funny, honestly. But Herbert, I already see a bunch of like apologizing for Herbert on the timeline. Like, oh, I feel so bad for Herbert. You know, he doesn't deserve this. Like, we talked about this. I've been a big proponent of this. I'm tired of the Justin Herbert apologists. At some point, the wins have to come for the Chargers. Everyone was on Emmanuel Acho, who says a lot of dumb things, but everyone was on him for calling Justin Herbert a social media quarterback. And the reason he said that is because Justin Herbert puts up a lot of big numbers. He has a lot of good throws. He makes a lot of plays that other quarterbacks couldn't physically do. And he said that he was tired of hearing about that because it doesn't translate to wins, which is why he called him a social media quarterback. And I was like, you know what? I agree with Emmanuel Acho. Justin Herbert doesn't win games. This is year 3 of Justin Herbert. Okay. He has not won a playoff game. He is still yet to win a playoff game. That's bad. And I see a bunch of apologists for him. The Chargers forced 5 turnovers tonight. 5 turnovers. Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions. The Chargers scored 3 points in the entire second half. Why does Justin Herbert not get any blame? He should be getting a lot of blame for this loss. How do you only score 3 points in the second half?
It's the reincarnation of Phillip Rivers, and we're watching it in real time. It's incredible. And the same franchise did it. Like, Justin Herbert, great quarterback, talented quarterback, but he's just not a winner. That's the problem. And he gets all this praise for winning games that really don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. And when he loses, it's somebody else's fault. Like, don't get me wrong. It was a complete, total meltdown from the Chargers in every facet. And that's why I think that you have to kind of blame their coach Staley a little bit. But the defense forced, 5 turnovers? I mean, what more do you want them to do? Like, at a certain point, you got to take the game in your own hands, and he didn't do that in this game. And it's why the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to play in Arrowhead.
Yeah, at least we think so.
Yeah.
I mean, barring a miracle from the Dolphins tomorrow, which I don't see happening, the Chiefs will probably play the Jaguars. And this is the matchup that I wanted. And this is who we picked to win when we did our bracket predictions last night. So our predictions look good. I mean, today, both the teams that we picked won, Jacksonville and San Francisco. And I really wanted this matchup for the Chiefs because I didn't want to play the Chargers a third time. After watching this, maybe I did want to play the Chargers a third time. But I really think neither of these teams are a threat to the Chiefs. They shouldn't be. I understand the Jaguars are going to be riding high after this. And look, they're an exciting team. They're a fun team. Doug Peterson is a hell of a coach. But the Chiefs should still absolutely beat them. And people are going to forget because they won this game. They were pitiful in the first half. Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions. If Trevor Lawrence throws 4 interceptions against the Chiefs, I'm pretty comfortable with saying that the Chiefs win that game pretty handily.
The Chiefs also turned the ball over, 3 times in the last meeting, and they still won by multiple scores.
Yeah. So
I'm sitting pretty as a Chiefs fan right now. It's literally just make sure you go into this game. Don't underestimate them because they are a good team and they can beat you. You can't look over to the AFC Championship game quite yet, but I mean, guys, again, this is why it is so beneficial to get that 1 seed. You have to win one game, one measly game against the Jacksonville Jaguars to have a chance to go to another Super Bowl. That is amazing. And I know that the Chargers were a team that was struggling as of late. We clearly saw it, but I would still rather play Jacksonville than the Chargers.
Yeah, I agree. I think, of course, I'd pick the Chiefs to win either game, but I'm more comfortable playing the Jaguars just because we beat them so handily earlier this season. I know the Jaguars are hot since then, but they don't scare me. The only thing that I'm worried about is Doug Peterson, again, is a hell of a coach, and he knows Andy Reid very well. And I could definitely see Doug Peterson pulling some shenanigans against the Chiefs that maybe make the game a little bit closer. But I told you, I think that's a game that the Chiefs should win 9 times out of 10. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that as long as they play the kind of football that we saw against the Raiders, I mean, that's a significantly better game than they played against the Jags the first time. And Trevor Lawrence, the moment was too big for him in the first half. Let's be honest. Throwing 4 picks.
A couple of them were, I don't want to say not his fault, but a couple of them were like, I know there was the 4th down call from Doug Peterson in the first half when Trevor Lawrence threw a second interception. The guy like stopped running his route or something like that, and that's why it got picked off. But the other ones were pretty bad.
And I understand that he has all that talent and he can make it up, but like, I still just feel really good from a Chiefs fan's perspective because, I mean, the Chiefs are just a flat out better team. And yeah, they could lose this game, but I mean, if they lose this game, it was never meant to be. And I think that the Chiefs want to put themselves in the best position to win in advance. It doesn't matter how they win this game. They could win this next game by 1 point. I don't care. You win in advance. It really doesn't matter right now. Like, we bitch and moan about how the Chiefs couldn't blow out a team. Right now, it doesn't matter how you win. It's 3 games. Win 3 games by any margin. We're never going to talk about, oh, the Chiefs really didn't play a very good game against the Jaguars, but, they did win the Super Bowl. We never talk about that. It's just win the games by any means necessary. And right now, I think that the Chiefs can do that. And I guarantee you that Pat was sitting home on his couch. He probably let out a chuckle when he saw Justin Herbert crouched over on the sideline after his team just completely fell apart. And he's probably like, dude, we get to play Jacksonville at home. Let's go.
I think he would have felt that way either team that came out of this game. But, man, I just can't get – I'm still kind of in shock. Like, I can't get over the fact that the Chargers were up 27-0 and lost this game. Like, I was kind of like – when it was like 27-14, I'm like, oh, this is a game again. But, like, I still thought the Chargers were going to win. And then it was oh, gosh – because they went for the 2-point conversion and they missed it the first time, right? So what was the score then? I just after that
it was 20-30.
Yeah, and then I was like, that's right, yeah, 20-30. And then I was like, man, Jaguars can do this. Like, they can actually do this. And I was cheering for it. And man, my heart was pounding for them during that last field goal, dude. Like, I was like, it was like I was watching the Chiefs play. Like, even when the Chiefs don't play, like, I still have to stress out over football, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, and I think that, funny enough, the Chargers just had to do the bare minimum to win this game in the second half. They didn't have to do anything spectacular. They just had to do the bare minimum, and they couldn't even do that.
One more touchdown in that game is probably over.
A field goal in that game is over. If Dicker the kicker makes that 40-yard field goal, the Chargers are back in LA celebrating a win.
Yeah, I forgot about that missed one.
It's so Chargers, man. It's the most Chargers thing ever. I wonder what that plane ride is going to be like. That must be the saddest group of individuals. Like, you're going home, and everyone's going to let them know about this. Like, they were up 27-0. They know. They completely choked in the biggest game that Justin Herbert had ever played. And it was almost poetic to see a Chargers team that, wasn't really good this season. They got lucky with some wins and they were okay, but I mean, they lost to the Denver Broncos last week, even with half their starters playing like half a game. So Trevor Lawrence playing a half of great football, we're going to have a chance to win. And that's ultimately what happened.
Brandon Staley's got to go, man. He's got to go. I'm refreshing my Twitter still just to see like that Brandon Staley has been fired because I think it needs to happen for them. But I had this tweet that I wanted to read to you, but then I was like, I'll wait until we start. Because this is bad for the Chargers, man. Like, if you're a Chargers fan or someone around the Chargers organization, like, this is really bad because I talked about the AFC West this year and how the Raiders were the Raiders and the Broncos were a disaster. But I always said the Chargers were the biggest disappointment because I thought this was kind of a Super Bowl or bust type year for them, the way that they went about this past offseason, getting Khalil Mack and signing J.C. Jackson, Herbert selling his rookie deal. Like, they're trying to capitalize on this window that they have. They got knocked out in the wild card. They didn't even win a playoff game. And Jason from Over the Cap tweeted that the Chargers are $10 million over the cap next season, and they rank 23rd in draft capital. So they don't have a lot of avenues to get better this offseason, and they got a lot of problems.
I'm not going to lie. And I hope this isn't too much of an overreaction, but I see a lot of Phillip Rivers in Justin Herbert. A lot. A lot. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if 10 years down the line, we're still talking about how Justin Herbert could never get one. Like, I don't think that Josh Allen's not going to get one. I don't think Joe Burrow's not going to get one. They're probably both going to win a Super Bowl in the next 10 years. I would not doubt that. I can't confidently say that Justin Herbert's going to win one. I really don't think so, because when you're in this division, I mean, the Chiefs are still slapping them around 2 times a year. Tom Brady might come to this division. I mean, who knows? I mean, the Broncos, for as bad as they are, they beat the Chargers this year. So maybe they'll even get better and continue to beat the Chargers next year. So I don't know, man. Like, this, it's hard to overreact and make too much of a deal out of this game, but like, they wasted a golden opportunity to at least win a playoff game. The result of the next game was undetermined, but I mean, now you'll never know because you couldn't even get there. So Justin Herbert has got to be kind of looking at his mortality a little bit and saying, like, do I have a legitimate shot with this team to win?
It's just that Chargers curse. He's got to get away from there.
Maybe he should go to the NFC. I mean, hell, go to the NFC, go to a team in the South or something like that with no quarterback. And that entire conference does not have great quarterback talent. If he goes there, I mean, hell, they might even go to the Super Bowl, but I just don't know if it'll happen in LA.
Yeah. And look, there were problems outside of Justin Herbert tonight. I think Justin Herbert does deserve a big bit of blame. But this is one of those losses that it's like, it can't, if you're going to be an elite quarterback in this league, like this is a loss that can't happen. Like you're up 27-0 against the Jaguars. This isn't a game that can happen. And it happened to Justin Herbert. You know, I don't really care about the circumstances. I don't care how bad your defense is. I don't care who your head coach is. I don't care who's calling the plays. You can't lose a game. You're up 27-0. Like if you're a good enough quarterback, you have to find a way to win that game.
I don't think a team period should lose the game 27-0 or lose the game down.
I mean,
by
yeah,
27.
it's inexcusable all around. Everyone involved in the Chargers organization, This is inexcusable. But the way that Justin Herbert is treated, you know, this isn't a game that he can lose and still be considered like up there, you know?
Oh, yeah. So I have a question for you. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but at what point in watching this game did you think to yourself, I think the Jaguars are going to win this game?
When it was after the missed field goal from the Chargers.
Same for me. I kind of thought that, this is destiny. Like a 40-yarder after the kicker.
You could feel it. Like the momentum was real.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if the sideline knew it too.
Yeah. I actually got a comment that I want to highlight. Octavio Marquez says, Sean Payton is watching and taking notes for next season. The fans deserve a better fate. This one hurt more than the Raiders debacle last year in overtime. I'm assuming you're a Chargers fan, which welcome Chargers fan to our Chiefs channel. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Like I like making fun of the Chargers, and I think there's a really good chance Brandon Staley gets fired. But the one good thing that could come out of this for the Chargers is that they do fire Brandon Staley and they get a guy like Sean Payton, because I actually think Sean Payton is a coach that could fix that team. But also, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm going, hey, I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals job. I don't know if I want that bad Chargers mojo. No, thank you, Los Angeles.
Sean Payton will go wherever he wants.
Yeah.
Period. If the Cowboys want him and he wants to go to the Cowboys, he'll go there. If the Cardinals end up getting him, it's because he wanted to go there. Like, Sean Payton is the hottest coaching commodity on the market. And it's if that was the Chargers' case for getting him, I don't think they made a very convincing case. like that team almost looked like they gave up.
Yeah. Because like the momentum was real. Like that's why I'm saying like the Joey Bosa when he was slamming his helmet and stuff, like I think the whole team just kind of knew like they were melting down and that it was over.
Which, I mean, I understand to a point, but I mean, they were still winning in the game. Like, In fact, I think at that point they had the ball. They
Yeah.
literally they got the
talking
ball
about
back.
You're talking about when Joey Bosa slammed his helmet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little too early to be pushing the panic button. That almost shows the trust that they have in Justin Herbert. If you're so confident, you would not be doing that. You would not be acting like that. But I think that they knew it was over.
Yeah. Everyone watching, I think, knew it was over too. I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now. The discrepancy in the halves between Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. Justin Herbert, he threw for a bunch of yards in the first half, ended up finishing with 273 yards and only one passing touchdown. Trevor Lawrence, gosh, I actually had the tweet in front of me a second ago. Anyway, he threw 4 picks in the first half. Ended up throwing over 200 yards in the second half and 3 touchdowns. Just incredible.
That was almost a legacy game.
It was a legacy game.
That's the kind of game that, like, when we talk about the greatest performances ever, like when we talk about Mahomes coming back from 24 down, and we talk about, Tom Brady coming back from 28-3, this is up there. And maybe this is the kind of game that launches Trevor Lawrence into stardom. And maybe he flips the switch from here and ends up being something really special. I don't know, but man, it's really tough to watch that game and not come away feeling like, dang, not Justin Herbert, dang, like Trevor Lawrence is really special.
Yeah, that, and if I'm a Chargers fan, it's just like, damn, like, where do you go after this? Where do you go after losing a game like this? Because they went all in, man. Like, they were all in on this season.
Well, I would go to a bar and probably not leave that bar for the next 72 hours and live vicariously through the Jaguars, hoping that they beat the Chiefs. Because could you imagine? Chargers fans also have to think about it from this perspective. They just gave their division rival, a team that they hate probably more than anybody, have almost a free crack at another AFC championship game. That probably makes them sick to their stomach.
Yeah. The Chargers had a 98.5% win probability at one point in this game. 98.5%, and they lost.
It's pitiful. I almost feel bad for Chargers fans, but I don't. But
I don't. I honestly, out of all I've never said this before, I think, out of all the AFC West fan bases, I think I like the Chargers the least. I've always found them super annoying. I think Raiders fans are actually pretty cool. Broncos fans, I'm cool with them. Chargers fans, they're just annoying to me, man.
The thing is, the Chargers are just kind of lovable losers. Like, they never won anything.
Nah, not even lovable, dude. I especially after this year too, like, they're like such whiners. Like, I remember after the first time that the Chiefs beat them earlier this year, they were crying on Twitter for another 2 weeks after that game was over about missed calls from the referees and how that Asante Samuel interception, he actually caught it, even though he clearly didn't catch it. It hit the ground.
Yeah. I mean, I don't say that they're the lovable losers, like we should love them, but like I don't know, man. Raiders fans, I find unbearable. Chargers fans are bad, but like I think it's just easy to ignore them because like they haven't done anything and they've never done anything. So like it's kind of like the uncle at Thanksgiving that has a few 2 Miller Lights and just starts talking shit, and you don't really like. I mean, it's like, yeah, Uncle Timmy, we understand what you're saying, but like no one's taking you seriously.
Yeah. I actually want to highlight this comment from Albert. He says, I'm an ex-Chargers fan, 1975 to 2016. So I'm assuming he either stopped being a Chargers fan after they moved from San Diego, which respect if that's what it was, or he just decided he was done with the bullshit. Either one, respectable.
They got to fire Spanos too while they're at it. Clear the whole thing.
Throw the whole franchise out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Remember when Patrick Mahomes? Do you remember when Patrick Mahomes, when asked about Justin Herbert beating him, he's like, "I'll believe it when I see it."
Mm-hmm.
Ended up being pretty spot on.
Yeah. And then he had that one. The Chargers had that one win against Patrick in early 2021, and they would not let that go.
Chargers fans also flex a win that Justin Herbert had against.
Okay,
Chiefs
now see, you're
backups.
seeing the light, dude. I hate Chargers fans. They paint murals for games that they lost.
Yes, but no, I'm talking about the game that they won where it was 2020. We already had the 1 seed locked up, and they like barely beat Chad Henne, and they were like, "Oh my God, it is over!" Like next year, we're coming for the Chiefs, and I think they actually did beat the Chiefs that next year, but still,
Yeah. Yeah, 2021. Yeah, because you're talking about the game week 17 where they flexed a win in which our starters didn't even play.
yeah.
That game, a funny thing about that game is at least because I was in St. Louis, that game was blacked out for me. Like it was a game that didn't matter, that they didn't even have it on national TV. Like, and Chargers fans flex it. And like I didn't even see it.
Yeah, well, there wasn't much to see. And the Chiefs ended up going to the Super Bowl, and the Chargers watched from home. So
I'm loving this, man. Albert says, great show. Josh and Michael, thank you very much. And Albert, I'm sorry about your Chargers if you still even have a 20% care for them, because I know you said you're an ex-Chargers fan. I don't know if you held out a little bit of hope for them tonight, but hope you're doing well. Cole says, after tonight's meltdown, I feel like Staley should be out. Yeah, he should be. That's an inexcusable loss for anybody. And Brandon Staley, we've seen his bad coaching decisions really come to bite the Chargers a lot here over the past couple of years. There was that Raiders game last year that they really should have won and they didn't. And year 3 of Justin Herbert and the team that they put together this past offseason, like you had to win a playoff game, and they had this playoff game won, and then they lost. You're up 27-0. Like, that's a fireable offense. Sorry.
At what point do you just give up? Like, you can't. What more could Brandon Staley do to show them that he is worthy of having that job? Do you want him to coach another season?
I couldn't. If I was a Chargers fan, I couldn't handle it. No.
Like I said this in a video 2 days ago. He gives off the vibes that he thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and it bites him in the ass every time.
Yeah. And he's a defensive coach. He's a defensive-minded head coach. And granted, the Chargers had a lot of takeaways tonight. Their defense has not really been spectacular since he's been there. They've been one of the worst rushing defenses in the league the past couple of years. They gave up 117 yards rushing tonight. They gave up nearly 400 total yards of offense. The Jaguars were actually 2 of 10 on third down in this game and somehow still won. But they were 2 of 3 on fourth down. And you got to applaud Doug Peterson because he's almost a little bit like Brandon Staley and the taking risks department. He took a lot of risks tonight, went for two times, got it one time. And the fourth down call late in the game to Travis Etienne. I almost said Trevor Etienne, his brother that plays at Florida. But Travis Etienne, that run play that they drew up for him where he ran an outside run behind 3 blockers that they had lined up on the right side. That was such a beautiful play call, man. And they got a first down and a whole lot more. And I'm happy for Doug Peterson, man. I mean, I kind of despise the Jaguars a little bit because of what Andre Cisco did earlier this year when the Chiefs played them. But man, I love Doug Peterson. This is such a great win for him. And Jaguars fans should really enjoy this because they're in good hands, man. They're in good hands.
I think they should enjoy it for the next 6 days and then, 7 days, and then get ready to get TCU'd at Arrowhead, hopefully.
Yeah. I said this when we did our predictions actually last night, I think. What did I tell you? Brandon Staley versus Doug Peterson. Give me Doug Peterson.
Justin Herbert versus Trevor Lawrence. Give me Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, really though.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's if this was any other team besides the Chargers, they win this game. Or the Falcons. I guess we should give credit to the Falcons. Falcons would have lost that game too. Either the Falcons, maybe the Vikings would have lost that game. But it's a select handful of teams that are capable of this kind of meltdown. And the Chargers just happen to always be in that position.
Yeah. I keep refreshing Twitter to see if Staley's been fired yet.
I don't know. He's going to get fired. The question's just how long is it going to take? Like, I think
they should have fired him like Herm Edwards, Arizona State. They should have fired him before he even walked off the field.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at Twitter right now. Remember when Brandon Staley did like the pregame stretches?
Yes.
I'm looking at it right now, and it's just like eliminated across the bottom.
The Chargers' final score post on Twitter already has 6,000 replies too. Crazy.
If I was a Chargers fan, I'm not getting on Twitter for the next 6 months.
That plane ride, that's going to be brutal.
Yeah. I want to check something really quickly because I'm seeing a lot of memes about it. Apparently the Chargers were posting like receipt stuff.
Yeah, they did. I didn't see what that was all about, but I saw that video that they posted.
They've deleted it, I'm fairly certain.
They did?
Yeah.
They deleted it?
Yeah, because that aged like milk.
Got embarrassed so bad they had to delete it. Wow. You know who the Chargers could have used tonight?
Mike Williams.
Yeah, Mike Williams. But guess what? Brandon Staley decided to play his starters in a meaningless game, and Mike Williams got hurt. So he could have helped in the second half.
Yeah, he could have helped at any point in this game. But, oh, wait. He was a Week 18 warrior, as we say.
I cannot imagine being a Chargers fan right now. WWE Clark says, what do you think of the Chiefs versus Jaguars match? They're a gritty team. Yeah, the Jaguars are a gritty team. I think they're tough out. They're probably a tougher out than they were earlier this season. But, of course, I still like the Chiefs in that matchup. Me and Michael talked about it multiple times already. The Chiefs turned the ball over multiple times. Last time they played the Jaguars, they lost the turnover battle like really badly, and they still won by double digits. Trevor Lawrence tonight threw 4 interceptions. If he does anything close to that against the Chiefs win that game handily, unless they match the turnovers, of course. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. I really like Doug Peterson, but the Chiefs, they have to win that game. 9 times out of 10.
Not only is it Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid coming off of a bye.
Yes, you have to consider that. It's the whole team coming off of a bye.
Yeah. But an extra week to prepare, an extra week to watch film. I mean, that's so critical. And I think that, the Jaguars had to win a lot of consecutive games to get to where they are right now. And props to them. It's difficult to do, but at a certain point, your luck's going to run out.
Yeah, I also saw some crazy stat on Twitter that the Jaguars were the last few games of the season, they were down by a bunch of points and ended up winning each of those games. That's not really sustainable. You can't be down by a bunch of points and then expect to win all these games, especially against a team like the Chiefs. That's going to be hard to pull off.
Man, I'm looking at Twitter right now, and hold on. I'm gonna play something.
Go ahead.
Hopefully it.
Los Angeles Dodgers, what happened is done. How to Jacksonville Jaguars, Dodgers, what happened? Oh, Fortnite, you in the minute.
Yes.
Famous Chiefs fan famous Chiefs fan James Draws.
Absolute legend. Did you know that I met James?
Oh, really? You did?
Yeah. Hold on. I'll send that picture. I met James.
You were on the sidelines for that game, weren't you?
Yeah, but I went up to the club level and I just was like, oh my gosh, James is right there. And I took a picture of him. He's awesome.
That's so cool. I was so glad he got to go to that game.
Yeah, and I think he'll be back for this next postseason game.
That would be fantastic.
Man, what happened, Chargers? What happened?
And Ari Myrov from My Sports Update tweeted at halftime that Brandon Staley can rest his starters now. No, he can't.
So I have a quick question. Like I I obviously check Twitter. I scroll through Twitter, and he's a guy that I see his tweets pop up a lot. What credibility does he have? Like, what makes him him?
He started out by going on teams' transaction reports and tweeting news that he would find, and he developed connections and stuff like that. He really he built himself from scratch. Like he started from scratch, built himself up, started from the bottom, developed some connections, has sources now. He has he ended up being signed by PFF actually. So I think so. I don't know if he's still with PFF, but I know he like got picked up by PFF after being like his own independent reporter. It's kind of cool actually, but
well, props to him. I don't really ever care what he has to say.
He's kind of become a narrative tweeter.
Kinda. I mean, even his news, I remember seeing some stuff that like just didn't end up being true.
Yeah. I wonder what the mural the Chargers are going to paint after this game.
Probably Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert hugging after a loss as a sign of like camaraderie and just brotherhood, because both of which probably aren't going to be on the team next year. No, I'm kidding. But
Brandon Staley won't be.
One of the two won't be.
I can't believe it, dude. 27-0. You were up and you lost. 27-0.
It's an all-time shocker. Really quickly, let me answer Eddie's comment about who's my college team.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be disappointed, Eddie. I'm just telling you right now.
Obviously, it is the University of Kansas Jayhawks, but I have a reason because I go to the school, and I also I've been a Jayhawks fan ever since I was a kid, and I want to point out that KU and MU had the same season, and both ended up losing bowl games, but that's neither here nor there. We also beat MU in basketball like a month and a half ago. So it's been good times as a Kansas Jayhawks fan recently.
Let me just say that Kansas had their best season since the Civil War, and they celebrated it when they finished with the exact same record as Mizzou. Mizzou fans were disappointed with their season.
I don't know. We won the Orange Bowl in 2008, Josh.
Different levels.
I guess so. You can proudly say that you stuck in a half with the national champions.
We did. We should have. We should have won that game, dude. If our running back was a tad bit faster, we win that game.
We should have beat TCU. Like, I was at that game, and if our quarterback didn't get injured, I think we would have beat TCU, and they would have never been in that game.
I tweeted this, and a lot of fans got mad. We're going way off topic here, but anyway,
I know.
I tweeted this, and a lot of fans got mad because I said the gap between the SEC and the Big 12 is still so large because, well, first of all, you see what Georgia did to TCU, and then Kansas State, who also played in the Big 12 championship game, got housed by Alabama in their bowl game.
Yeah, I think that's more of a discrepancy between like the top dogs. Like, Georgia would beat anybody from any conference. Alabama would beat anybody from any conference.
Oh yeah, sure they would.
I think if MU plays K-State or MU plays KU or Auburn plays KU or some other team, it's not going to have that result. But when you have guys like...
Not necessarily the blowout of that proportion, yeah.
Yeah, I think that Big 12 teams can hang in it against SEC teams, just not Bama and Georgia.
Yeah. Just it's crazy, though, the separation between the top teams. And I just used the Big 12 as an example because they happen to both be playing SEC teams in their bowl game, and they lost.
The Big 12 also historically sucks in football.
Yeah.
I will say, though, and that's something, this is really off topic, but like, I think that if I was in charge of recruiting, or if I was in the NCAA making rules, which I'm not, and there's a reason why, but I would make it where you limit the amount of like 4 and 5 stars players can, or like teams can get.
Dude, yeah. So like, I think a way to battle that is scholarship limits. People have like scolded at that idea before. I say scholarship limits because if you're allowing all the 4 and 5 star recruits to be going to one school, then you're never going to have any parity. And NIL and the one free transfer rule has made it to where teams with a lot of money into their programs, like Georgia, are able to buy players. And it's not good. Like college players are now free agents every offseason because they can transfer once without a penalty. And they're pretty much getting paid by teams. Like, I don't know how familiar you are with Mizzou, but we had this receiver, Dominic Lovett.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a top receiver in the SEC this year, finished with 800 yards. Ended up transferring for really no good reason other than the fact Georgia paid him a bunch of money. Ended up transferring to Georgia. And then the same thing happened to Mississippi State. Mississippi State had this really good receiver. Ra Thomas was also a very good top receiver in the SEC this year, transferred to Georgia. And it's like, how the hell are you supposed to compete when Georgia is just able to pick the top players off other teams in the same conference?
There's got to be some rules. Like, the NCAA won't let coaches buy players a cheeseburger, but when it comes to buying them and giving them school and giving them their families' houses and stuff, like, you can't maybe make some exception where, hey, Georgia, you're a great team. You got a great coach. You got a great fan base and a great program. You can have like 4 or 5 stars. That's it. Like, at a certain point, you can't have an NFL squad because it gets to a point where it's like dangerous. Like, I'm not saying that like it's, well, I am kind of saying it.
It's
like,
bad for college football.
That and the difference between Georgia and Kansas is like they're not even in the same league. We're a D2 team compared to them.
Yeah. Mizzou played them closer this year than anybody, though. Just throwing that out there. I mean, besides Ohio State in the playoff, but
They should have won that game.
They should have, dude. It was so frustrating. Like, Georgia was the better team, yes, but man, we should have won that game. I'm confident though. Like, a lot of people are down on our head coach. I love him though because I think he still recruits very well. And what people don't realize is like Mizzou had back-to-back top 25 recruiting classes, and we still had less 4 and 5 star signees than Kentucky, Arkansas, South Carolina, etc. And it's like, that just goes to show how bad the last coach was doing. When you have back-to-back top 25 recruiting classes, you would think your talent would stack up a little bit better, but it's not. We're not there yet. We're just not.
Yeah. And as a Jayhawks fan, I mean, I'm thrilled with our coach. I think that in 2 years or so, I'm not saying we're going to be competing for a national championship, and even if we are, we're going to get the doors blown off of us. But like, I think that we could compete for a very high bowl game. I think we could possibly win the Big 12 in a couple of years. Like, that's stuff that, as a Kansas football fan, we're not used to saying that.
Yeah. Anyway, Chargers and Jaguars. Great freaking game. Chargers and Jaguars. Great freaking game. Chargers choke. It's all you can do is sit back and laugh, really. I mean, Doug Peterson, he's inevitable. But yeah, I mean, we've been going for a little bit. That's all I got for this one. I really wanted to come on here and react to that game because I was pumped, man. And like I said, my heart was pounding towards the end there for the Jaguars, that last field goal. Like, I was nervous for them, but they pulled it out. That was a great game.
Yeah, and I thought for a quick second, I thought that he missed that field goal. I really did.
Yeah. I think Doug Peterson did too.
But luckily, the Jacksonville Jaguars are living to see another day. And barring a catastrophic collapse by the Bills tomorrow, we're probably going to face the Jags in the divisional.
Yeah. And when that becomes official, we'll probably do a video later previewing that matchup. But for now, we're just having fun. Just laughing at the Chargers.
Life's good, guys. Life's really good.
Yeah. Anyway, Michael, I'm going to go ahead and close this one up. So all that being said, you guys make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. And then, Michael, where can the fans find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube. That's just KC Sports Report. Instagram is KC_Sports Report. Twitter's at KC Sports Report. And the website's just KCSportsReport.com.
All right. Sounds good. But yeah, we'll see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs.